Good morning, y'all. It's Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. I'm going to give a little bit of a fishing report here this morning inside the shop. Uh, as far as crappie, I'm getting all kinds of mixed reports. It seems like if people get on the keepers, they're on them. Uh, it overall, the main lake is pretty slow. A lot of short fish. Uh, some of several of the guides have went on up the arms fishing. I heard sparrowfoot in deep water was the better bite right now up on the upper grand end. I heard good reports out of Bucksaw 1 or 2 days, and then I heard terrible reports out of Bucksaw 1 or 2 days this week. I haven't heard much on the Osage at all. I fished Osage catfishing a couple of days. Didn't see a lot of boats catching. Talked to some pretty good crappie fishermen that was up there last Friday or Saturday when I was up there. Uh, they caught fish, but they said they really had to work at it to catch a good mess. As far as on the main lake, I haven't seen much. A lot of short fish. Them brush piles are holding a lot of fish, but they're still short. In a little bit deeper water now, all them crappie moved down deep. Uh, Starting to get some cold fronts rolling through, wind changes, pressure changes. Uh, did see a lot of people starting to fish the bluffs yesterday. I don't know if they was catching any keepers or not. I know they was catching some fish, but didn't hear much back from any of them. Did hear Big Tebow. I heard a couple limits coming out up there, but they said the same way they was deeper. Sounded like they was up above T6, kind of up there around some of the channel swings, fishing that deeper timber, 15 to 22, 24 foot down. The hybrids this week, they've kind of been all over the place. I talked to Jim Cuda a couple times this week. It sounded like they'd bite for a minute, and then you might go half a day without a bite. A lot of catfish action, still hybrid fishing if you're running live bait. A lot of channel cat, though. Blue cat kind of pushed out deeper on the main lake. I have not heard hardly any catfish reported all up the river arms. So it must still be pretty slow up around deep water, Sparrowfoot, Tally Bend. I did talk to one guy, said they ran jugs at Tally Bend and they actually did pretty good, but they was having to fish some deeper water. They was catching all their fish down in the thermocline. And that's kind of the way it is on the main lake right now. I've seen a lot of catfish in that 25 to 33, 34 foot range. They're not real active, but I did catch some of them deeper fish. It seemed like if I could find some catfishing 20 to 28 foot this week, that was the best bite, most aggressive bite anyways. I did fish like upper, well, not really upper. I fished from Browns Bend down on Lake of the Ozarks Sunday. We did pretty good. We caught fish just drifting down the channel. Kind of went one way, jumped a couple holes. We caught fish everywhere we was down there. We caught fish from 3 foot of water all the way down to 50 foot of water. I didn't see much thermocline at all down on that part of Lake of the Ozarks, so that bite was pretty good. A lot of small fish, but we did have a couple big fish too. We had a few overs up on Truman this week. It's been pretty good overall catfishing wise. They're starting to get into that September deal where one day you'll find them in one place and the next day there might not be a fish there though. We had to do a lot of spot hopping to stay on fish this last week. We wasn't quite catching good limits. We'd catch 15 to 25 fish a day, so that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't on fire either. Yesterday I did run a hybrid trip. I had a catfishing trip cancel on me. Kind of seems like your active hybrids right now are in that 18 to 22 foot range. They're sometimes are really hard to see. They'll be hugged right down in the mud. I've posted a few pictures on Facebook this last week or two of some hybrids. Yesterday, you could barely tell there was even fish there when I first got on them. And then as the day went on, they started coming up off the bottom and you could see the shadows from them. We did catch them. We caught 10 really really good hybrids yesterday. Some of the biggest fish I've had this year. Caught a few white bass mixed in with them, not very many. Haven't heard any report at all on largemouth. None. I do know there's a few guys up there running around pre-fishing for some tournaments and stuff this week, but I haven't talked to any of them. The shad are starting to come up. You get a good wind. I've seen a lot of shad right on the boat ramps now. They're kind of starting to go into their fall pattern. Monday, I think it was Monday morning, we had that good north wind coming in. I did see some white bass and small hybrids busting up shallow on windblown banks. I want to talk a little bit about that. I've had a lot of people messaging me and asking me what do we want to use, what should we be throwing once that shallow white bass and hybrid bite starts. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the route I go. Top water, that's the old hog stick. A lot of people, we still sell a lot of them. This is what everybody used to run 20 years ago. They're kind of hard to find now. I do have a bunch of the bone white ones. Them work really good. That's the bone white little Zura puppy. For them white bass, when they move up on the bank, that right there, that or a little bitty chug bug or a popper of some sort, something that makes quite a bit of action. Them right there work really, really good. If they're not up and busting, they're just there. A good jerk bait, pretty hard to beat, or a rooster tail, you know, or a medium-sized rattle trap, something like that. Really, as far as white bass, that when they're up shallow, you can't beat the Vibrix or rooster tails. They will catch fish all the time if the fish are there. As they're a puppy, if they're busting, that's pretty well my go-to if it's smaller fish. And I have caught 10, 12-pound hybrids on them. The only issue with that is you will straighten some split rings if you're getting into the bigger fish. I've had several of them in my tackle box. I've had to switch out the split rings and put heavier split rings on. But same way with some of them rattle traps. If you buy some of them off-brand rattle traps from like Walmart that are $2, they'll catch fish, but your hooks and your split rings, you need to change out on them for sure. Color just depends. Right now that water's still really clear because we haven't had much rain, so anything that's natural colored, shad colored, is what you want to be throwing. I like the bone white. You know, even more pearly rattle traps. If I'm throwing rattle traps or the chrome, something that's going to resemble a shad to them in this clear water is what you want. If it does muddy up, lake starts to turn over, water gets real dingy, then you can use some of them brighter colors. But right now, I would just stick to stuff like that. You can even throw some small swim baits and stuff. They'll hit them too. Curly tails, and white bass will hit about anything if you get it in front of them. As far as shad, you guys, there's shad all over below the dam right at daylight. I've heard right at dark they're there too. I've got friends that have been down there catching hybrids. That's about the only fishing report I've heard. If you're right at the fence, right at daylight, they'll catch a few hybrids, and that's about the extent of what's going on down below the dam. I've heard of a few small catfish coming out. Some of the guys that really fished hard the last couple of weeks, they've caught a few bigger catfish, but they've really had to work at it. Fish all night for one or two big fish and not hardly even catch anything else. Just been pretty slow down there overall. We need this water temperature to drop about another 10 degrees, and then everything will start picking up a little bit. Heard of a few crappie, white bass, a few catfish, walleye coming out of the harbor, but that's just a bunch of mixed fish. Quite a few people fishing it too. So that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one and good luck.